Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on YouTube. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me in the co-host seat, as always, is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello.
We are excited tonight. We've got a fantastic guest. And when I say this is one of my favorite guests we have ever had on the show, I'm not lying. I love this man. Not in a gay way, but in like this is a man I really want to meet in person and hang out with because he is one of the coolest guys I know.
Finally, yes, you get it.
Very talented voice actor and director. Please welcome Anthony Bowling to the show.
Yay! Hello. Oh,
bravo. We don't have our applause anymore.
Yeah, we don't have the sound bites anymore since switching, so all the show IDs and stuff are on hiatus until we can get video to them and whatnot. But
that's okay. We'll fix it in post. I'll add some of my own applause.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I'll just put it on my phone.
And Anthony, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us. For the first time, we get to see each other face to face.
Yes, here we are finally. In all the times that we've talked, but this is going to be real cool because now, well, I wish I had like better stuff going on. I forgot my parents were in town for the Cowboys game tomorrow. So they're in the living room where all the interesting background stuff is. So I'm just in the back room right now where it's like, here's a window.
That's right there. There's my window. Some of the art from friends and conventions we've gone to in honor of the amazing directing job Anthony has done for Data Live. Of course, we have our Toka figure, which season 3 is still, in my opinion, best season of Data Live. Natsumi's best girl. I don't care what Darren says.
Thank you. I agree. I love Natsumi.
Sorry, I am a nightmare person through and through.
Gotta get it. It's that, and then they have the, I think season 4.
Yep.
Coming up pretty soon, and the Dayday Bullet OVA thing. But I have no clue if we're even going to get that. But if we do, I'd like to do it again. That would be awesome.
I vote to have Anthony direct all the rest of the Data Live stuff that comes out.
I got it, man. That's a great cast. I'd do it.
I heard that it was more or less different directors for each season. We've had different animation studios for each season. What's next?
Man, next I don't know. It's going to be Pixar's going to do it, and Marvel
Sure.
going to do a what if.
Oh God, I hope not.
Or it could be DreamWorks.
There you go. That's what it's going to be next. It's going to be Dayday Live, a DreamWorks production.
And Mario in the chat room says, yes, please continue to direct Data Live.
Oh, thank you, Mario. I mean, if we get it, if we can, I'll try. I've been on One Piece duty for the past almost 2 years now. So that's why they're like, if anything comes through, I kind of get to jump in a little bit. But man, that's a beast trying to do One Piece. So that's why sometimes they're like, yeah, like if Dayday Live comes through, they might give me a break and say, you can have that. Go do Dayday Live, which is nice. I like having those breaks because that's how I got to direct. My favorite show that I think I've gotten to direct so far last season was Combatants Must Be Dispatched from the maker of Konosuba, from the same author who did Konosuba. So that was a 12 episode run. That's the manga's still going on, but that I just completely took over because it's a comedy, and that's what I did in between like a season of One Piece, which was cool.
Oh wow.
I've heard good things about that. I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet. Between every season, there are so many good shows that are coming out. It's almost impossible when you work a regular job, or in Darren's case, work 2 jobs, to keep up with everything. But you know, I love the work that you have done. I have watched shows just because you've directed them, even if they were outside of my wheelhouse, and that includes Clockwork Planet. But I have no regrets.
Gosh, Clockwork. Well, that one was still. I can't take full credit on Clockwork Planet. That was like me getting my feet wet. So that wasn't a whole. But man, that Clockwork Planet was a weird show.
Yeah.
That one, and what else did I just recently do? So I did that one, and I took over because Mike McFarland and I are both doing One Piece. So we'll rotate batches of episodes. So he'll do like 7 in a row. I'll do the next 7. and we'll do that for a couple seasons, and then we'll take a break for like another show. So I also did bottom tier character Tomoezaki. I took that from him. He did the first 4 episodes, went back to One Piece, and then I finished that one out. So I was doing that and Combatants at the same time. And Tomoezaki is a great show that I didn't think I was going to enjoy. And it's just one of those slice of life, you know, good boy wants to be better at like being social, and he can only equate that to like video games because he's really good at video games. So it's a really cute kind of like, oh, this is how like you can level up in real life and stuff like that. So very positive, very cute show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like stuff like that. And then of course, you know, Dayday Live coming back, Devils a Part-Timer season 2.
I'm waiting. I thought that was supposed to be coming out soon, but I think we have to wait a little bit longer.
It did get delayed, but they do have the trailer for it. It is a real thing. It's happening, and the Japanese cast is back. And I don't think any studio has the rights to it yet, but hopefully we get it. And if we do, I would try and direct it as well. So that's what I'd want to try and do. But if not, like, I'm just glad that I get to be back. That we're all back. So
we need everybody back for Devil is a Part-Timer. That was a phenomenal show. And it's a show, Darren, you and I have talked about many times, going, if that had come out in the last 2 years, we would be on about season 4 of Devil is a Part-Timer. That was a show ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Yep. I wonder if we're going to be getting any more Jahi, since it had a very similar premise.
Man, there's so many of those shows that they're just 12 episodes and done because they want to sell the manga. They do the opposite route there, where it's like, no, instead of making like comic books into movies, they're like, no, we'll show you like how good the manga can be because it's cheaper to make.
Yeah.
So,
and how have you been, and what have you been doing? I know when the pandemic hit last year, everybody was kind of going crazy. Everybody working from home, which I know I've said it a million times, hats off to Funimation for the innovative thinking of having people work from home, record things, and edit stuff. I know as a director standpoint, that had to have been a big change for you, trying to correspond with editors in different areas. And
it was, because it's been a while since we have talked. I mean, I can kind of in a nutshell break it down because it was a really intricate process. And I know that a lot of people right now, because so much anime is out and people can consume it, they're like, we want more. Like, what's taking so long? And it's like the process started off, we had like 2 months off and everyone was freaking out because we didn't know, like, well, we can't go into a studio. How are we going to work? Especially voice actors. I mean, it's all of a sudden, you know, along with a lot of these other people, but it's like, oh, we really need a job market. Like, we don't have job skills that we can like right now go out and, you know, I can't be like, good, I can fall back on that online, you know, IT degree that I have and do that. It was like, no, but like no one needs a director for anime right now because nothing's happening. But then Funimation was like, look, what can we do to kind of get the ball rolling, at least, you know, a little bit of light too. And this, when it was just happening, it's like, we need something, you know, something needs to happen. And luckily at that time, you know, I think they were like looking at My Hero since that was going, and they're like, look, if we can fast track anything. So it was My Hero. I forget who else it might've been Fruits Basket or something that Caitlin was doing at the time, Caitlin Glass. And then I was doing Plunderer. And we were at about episode 11 or 12 when the pandemic hit, of the 24 episodes. And so I got to come back as well. And what it was is they gave basically the cast from those 3 shows, they sent them all a microphone, a tablet, a pop screen, and some cables. And kind of we would... like this right here, we would Skype in and they would have to, on their iPad, play the video. They would hear it. We couldn't hear them watching it. So like right now, Doug, this is how it would be. And I'd be like, okay, hit play. You'd watch it and then be like, okay, so you can kind of see the flaps going there. So record whenever you're ready. You would hit play. You would record to the flaps you're seeing on the iPad. And then you would have to play it back and edit it yourself, like with your finger, like move it into kind of the approximation of the flaps. So we had the actors they went from just voice acting to doing 90% of the work, because the engineers just kind of there to like help with any technical questions. They kind of knew the software. And then I'm there more so than anything to kind of give that moral support and keep the actor kind of in that right mindset, because it's difficult to be like, it sounds kind of like, really, is it that hard? But when you're frustrated and nervous and you're trying to act, but you're also using like the different side of your brain that's saying like, well, I'm using my editor brain because I have to move this and make sure the flaps, it's kind of like going from, juggling with balls. And then now you have like, we'll do 5 of them and they're all knives now on fire. Like, oh, okay, I just barely learned how to juggle. Like, I don't know that. So we kind of had to do that, and we got into a pretty good rhythm. And eventually we were able to have every director have a show. So that's how we kind of went from like, okay, we have 3 shows, now we have 12 going. And then we kind of figured out a little bit more and more on those tools and figured out, well, we can start using this new program, Source Connect Now, that's out. We can kind of connect that way and direct through that. And then the engineer can be at home. We can set up like a hub of computers, and the engineer can actually engineer. They can record them. So the actor just has to, perform. And once that happened, that was a game changer. But what was confusing is that a lot of people think, oh, well, that's simple. Like, I can do that right now. But it's like, yeah, but we have 2 shows per director, 12 directors, that's 24 shows, and we're doing that week to week. So we're still having to get that quick kind of volume rather than a lazy like, oh, we have a whole month to do this episode. It's like, no, and we already have a back catalog. So that year that we were in COVID, we missed 2 seasons of shows we were supposed to do. So that's 24, so that's 48 shows that are undubbed that we still have to do. So that's kind of why right now contracting out and getting these other studios in and working, that's why it's been so hard. And then on top of that, One Piece, and Mike and I do One Piece, and that's it. We are not allowed to touch anything else because it's so daunting. And that's why when we take a break, it's like, hey, if you're in the middle of your season, like Mike with bottom tier character, he had to go back to One Piece because of that continuity. You don't want to just throw One Piece to, much like Dayday Live had a different person, per season. So then it would go to me. So I take kind of Mike's shows. I kind of know what he wants. And then I actually got pulled off Combatants before I got to finish that one to go back to One Piece. So it's kind of just this quickly moving machine. And that's kind of what it's been. So it was scary at first, but then once we got in this rhythm, more and more people were like watching anime, and it was just becoming more and more important. Just for especially for us, the actors, the directors, the writers. Of course, it looks great on paper, where it's like, oh, we're doing well, business is booming. But for us, it was just good to know that we could finally work, and that it was reaching people, and it was reaching more people. And now that we've kind of seen a little bit of the convention scene, people are like, oh my God, I didn't know people were watching Cautious Hero as much as they were.
Oh, that's a great show.
Jamie Markey and I were sitting next to each other, and we of course play the 2 leads, and we're talking, and people are coming up like, oh my gosh, I watched, like, we love that show. We had no clue because COVID hit right after that show came out. So we didn't get to go to cons and talk to people and do all that. And so that's kind of been the biggest thing right now, is that anime is booming, and it's kind of hitting all of us like, holy crap, like, okay, the thing we've been doing for all these years, we knew it was big, but now it's like Marvel big. Now it's like people will go to conventions and like go for like, who, yeah, the My Hero guys are here, and they go through like crowds of celebrities that I'll see and be like, that you just ran past Billy West, that guy's a legend, he's an icon, and they're like, we want to talk to Deku, and it's like, oh, like, that's, for me, it's so cool to see like our industry kind of
I don't mean to laugh about that, but a couple weeks ago, I was at Connecticon in Hartford, Connecticut, and Billy West was a guest there. But I've seen Billy many times. He was a regular at Northeast Comic-Con up in the Boston area. And I was more interested in seeing Todd Haberkorn. I was more interested in meeting Caitlin Glass for the first time, Alexis Tipton,
Yes.
get the autographs on Rosario Vampire. And then, some guy, I think you might know him, was there. What was his name? Some guy, Jeremy Inman or
I've never
something
heard of
like
him.
that.
Never heard of him.
He's trying to take credit for the talking pube, he said. He said that was all his idea. He's
for
not
Pubaru? No,
Yeah.
sir. No. Well, I will let him take credit for putting us as a dynamic duo in Space Battleship Tiramisu. that his character, just the fact that his name is Vulgar Hummer, and he's just this big, stupid, almost like frat boy energy, just like, hey, nerd. And it's just like, man, they just put our relationship on screen. Not that bad, but I mean, that's how Inman and I act like brothers to each other like that, where it's just like, yeah.
And I know you guys get along really well, and I have to show this picture. I know unfortunately you weren't able to be a guest at Connecticon for whatever reason, but my wife met Jeremy dressed as Sylvie from How Not to Summon a Demon Lord.
Very cute.
And we had forgotten he directed it.
Mm-hmm.
And we also didn't know that his girlfriend was going to be there, who's also a voice actress.
Yeah, Kim is great. She also is a wonderful cosplayer, too.
Oh, she was cosplaying a lot. I actually mistook her for another cosplaying friend of ours who cosplays some of the same characters.
Yeah, what was the other one? Yeah, Demon Lord. That one was cool. I got to play a really cool, quick little villain. I got to play Sadler, that really crazy zealot knight who was like going to kill. He had the two swords and he was going to kill one of the dragons. And then they busted in and were like, no, we're going to murder you. He got like eviscerated.
Oh, that's right. I remember him.
Yeah, he was in it for a brief second, but it was really cool because I got to chew the scenery with him because it was like mad holy night type thing. It's like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool villain. I got a really cool role coming up in a show that I haven't gotten to be in yet. Slime, how I got reincarnated, or the time I got reincarnated as a slime, and that's coming up. And I'm super excited for this character.
Oh God, I wish I had known that. I might have chose a different character. I might have chose a different figure because on the shelf back behind me, there is a Ranga figure that we just bought over the weekend, and you can't really see the other one because of the ellipticals there. But we bought a second Mega Man figure from Konosuba.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I think, man, if you like Konosuba, and that was also wonderful because that was the first time when I was working on Tomoezaki. Mike had cast Faye Mata in that, and I had never gotten to work with her before. And she, of course, Aqua in Konosuba, and she played the lead in Tomoezaki. Her name was Aoi. She was one of the leads, so it was the guy and the girl together. She was phenomenal. She was a blast to act, play off of, and gosh, she's just like her character. I mean, she's just all over the place, but I think that's why you'd like Combatants. It's got really good just comedic moments in it, and we kind of pushed it. The way I described it, it was like Invader Zim meets Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and that's where I kind of pushed it.
It's funny you talk about
it's
Faye.
Really good.
Because my introduction to Faye Mata was not like, I probably knew she did Aqua without knowing she did Aqua until I was watching YouTubers play Among Us. And she joined a group that I watched on a regular basis. And then it got out that she was the voice of Aqua, and you got to hear everybody on, I think it was Valkyrie's live stream, Valkyrie, Corpse, and a couple of other YouTubers freaked out, going, "Oh my God, you're Aqua?" No clue. I'm like, wait a minute, and I had to look it up. I'm like, holy crap, she
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, and I didn't know she was a big streamer as well. Like I had no clue that that was like primarily kind of like when I first started working with Alejandro Saab. I had no idea that Kagi was this other online persona, and he'd been doing games for so long. And that's another weird thing to see. A lot of with COVID, that's what we've seen, where everyone's working from home now. A lot of people are streaming now. I know that Kyle Phillips, director, he plays Denki in My Hero, but he and Waycamp, who plays Aizawa, they stream together all the time, and that's like a new thing for us, which is really cool that we kind of discovered. Well, if we're working from home, we don't have a commute, so I can, when I'm done at work at 6, have dinner with my wife, do or whatever, and then it's like, yeah, cool. And then like 7:30 or 8, go join someone's stream and play games with my friends for an hour or whatever. So that's kind of been a cool new avenue that we've all kind of discovered during this as well, because it's like, oh yeah, why wouldn't we do that?
Oh yeah, it's I remember way back when we first interviewed Megan Shipman. She only had a few roles that she had named roles. I think she had like 4 roles that had been put out there where it's like, okay, this is Megan Shipman. And we had her on the show, and she talked about that she was a YouTuber, Mop Top 18 or 18 Mop Top. And I told my wife about it, and she freaked out because she's been listening to Megan's music for, I think, a year before knowing who it was.
Oh, that's crazy. Like her, Amanda Lee, who Amalie now, and she switched over. I had no clue that she was doing all that, but she was just like the sweetest when she came to Funimation, and it was like, oh, she's really good. And then we found out like she's this amazing singer. She's so talented, and now she's got her a lot of them are doing the VTuber thing too, so she has her VTuber persona and she's doing her music.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I think there's there were a few cons that we went to where I've been seeing a lot of VTuber voice actors showing up too, so that's been a new avenue that we've kind of seen, and I'm wondering if that's kind of how a lot of these old school prelay like voice actors feel now when they look at the lines and they're like, what the hell is this My Hero? Like, and I'll see people like Kevin Conroy, Batman, or like Jim Cummings or Tom Kenny, who's SpongeBob, and they have their lines, but then anime is just as huge, and it's kind of this cool professional thing to talk across the aisle to your heroes that you grew up with and be like, yeah, like anime's crazy, this is the thing right now. And for them to be like, oh man, just kind of talking across 2 different kind of generations and 2 different mediums, but still having that same kind of iconic these characters, this kind of pop culture scene. And I know that a lot of the celebrities that go down there will look, James Marster, who's Spike in Buffy, but he's also in Dragon Ball Super. He was one of the villains because he was in the movie, and it was cool to see him getting just as many Buffys as people had the pops of Zamasu, that was his name, of that. So that's kind of cool that he also was talking about like, yeah, it's crazy that it's Buffy, but people know Buffy, but then you'll get a new group of people that are like, no, I only know you from Dragon Ball. Like, and he's like, oh, okay. But he's also a musician and all that. So that's been wild.
Kind of, actually, we had a funny story about something similar to that. Shobai Rock Mashimaresh came out not that long ago. They finally were able to finish the English dub of it. Megan did a phenomenal job directing it and everything. And my wife and I sat and watched it. And, when you're watch so many shows, and especially for us where I listen to the voice actors, it's like, oh, that's Anthony, that's Todd, you can pick out some people. When you hear a new voice, your ears kind of perk up. Mm-hmm. And the voice of Himiko, Giovanni Cruz, was a name I had never heard before. And her singing was amazing. So our last show on Blog Talk Radio,
she is amazing.
We did a Mashima Rush special where we had Megan, of course, because you had to have the director of the show. Much like Data Live, we had to have the director of the show when we did the special for that. And we were able to get all 4 ladies of Mashima Rush.
Oh, that's awesome.
including Giovanni and Emmy, Lindsay, and Macy. And it was like, I could. I had no clue who she was. She didn't have really any other anime credits aside from, guest singing for people who didn't want to sing in certain shows or things like that. But she really didn't have any main credits. And it's like, then I found out she does movies and all this other stuff. I don't watch movies, so I'd never heard of her before. I'm like, God, she's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's been cool too. I've gotten to work with doing One Piece, with that being so extensive, and they have they have so many new characters per arc. I've gotten to work with so many really cool, really new. Well, not new, but I mean, the first time I got to work with Matt Mercer was because of One Piece, because he plays Law. So I was just kind of thrown in, and I was like, oh, I get to direct Matt Mercer? Oh, crap. Okay. And then people who I kind of knew, but, the LA, Texas thing was a lot harder to work before everything was remote. I think we only had 2 studios before, pre-COVID, that we could funnel into LA so that way we could get these. So when we had Fruits Basket or My Hero or One Piece, it would be cool, we need that LA cast. But now, I'm working a lot with Patrick Seitz, who plays Frankie in that. He's awesome. He's a great guy. And then just kind of reaching out to whoever and getting to work with all these amazing other actors who are there's a few people who have worked on Marvel stuff and DC stuff, animated or television shows or Transformers and stuff. And a lot of them are people just, you might not know their names or you might know the character, but it's just kind of a new blend of, it's not just anime actors anymore, per se. It's just actors and voice actors are now just kind of all getting in the mix, which is exciting for us as directors. I mean, I'm sure it's getting a lot harder to audition. That audition pool is getting bigger, but that's luckily, I mean, we have experience in the business, so that's what kind of helps us get to that. But it's really cool getting to meet all these new people.
Now, switching gears a little bit, and I have to laugh because social media is a huge thing out there. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of voice actors have fan pages and stuff like that. I have not found an Anthony Bowling fan page yet. Why is that?
I don't know. I will be the first to admit I am terrible at marketing myself, and in the sense of I've been to cons and people are like, oh, cool. They'll see, maybe I'll put up, My Hero, the big ones that people would know, like Dragon Ball, My Hero, One Piece. But then that's when I started discovering oh my God, you're Seiya and Cautious Hero. Oh my gosh, you're a Chronostasis in My Hero. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm also Hiru, he's class 1B and all that. And there's just so many roles that I forget about. I am Ray in Ensemble Stars. I didn't know he was a big deal either. He's a big, sexy vampire boy. He looks like Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, but if he wore a biker hat. But there are these characters I had no clue about, and I just don't really talk. I just like working. So I forget that sometimes part of being an actor is part and parcel of that is you do need to say what you do. People do need to know, because that's how you get your credits out there. That's how people start to trust you with roles, and you can start to get bigger and better things. And I just kind of let that fall to the wayside a lot of times because I'm just kind of focused on who I want to work with, what I'm doing. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think you need to start it then, Doug, is what I'm hearing.
I won't lie. I have thought about it, but I'm horrible at that stuff too. Pop Girl says she loves Cautious Hero. I remember we had you do.
Good. I love Cautious Hero too. I hope they get another one.
That would be fun. And I think, Darren, didn't we have a battle of who was a worse goddess, Aqua or Cautious Hero?
Yes, and I would have to go with the one from Cautious Hero. I'm biased towards Aqua.
Ricia?
Yes.
It's really weird how similar Cautious Hero and Konosuba are, but they never really, in the show Combatants, they have straight up like frames that they kind of copy to make fun of Konosuba, where it's like, oh, watch him cast the spell. It's like, oh shit, he's doing it. But I have seen more similarities between Cautious Hero and other shows of that kind of ilk, like Konosuba. It even mirrored a lot of like those different, and I don't think it's the same author for those two. It was in the mangaka. I don't think it's the same. But that's kind of weird that both shows have like the over talkative, crazy kind of screw up, and then the silent, stony type, whether it's male or female. So that's a weird dynamic that kind of just connects those dots.
And of course, one of my introductions to your career was the great Shinichiro from Ultimate Otaku Teacher.
I got the ID. That one's a good one too. That was I've been getting a few of that one too. People remembering that, or like I'll run into like Jamie and I were talking about that. I forgot Jamie was in that show. So just it's almost like looking at an old yearbook. Like, oh, I forgot freshman year I was in that. I was in drama club. It was just like, oh yeah, we were in that together. That one's been fun.
And what was it? I actually think a couple years ago I had seen a White Peak cosplayer at a New England area convention.
But man, was it how would they cosplay that? That's like mostly illegal.
I don't know. I think it might have been like drawn, so it wasn't actual underwear. I think it was more drawn.
Okay,
but it still was quite humorous.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, for those who don't know about White Peak in the show, the show is basically about kind of like extreme censorship. So people can't have lewd or perverted thoughts. And so, of course, the anarchists are able to go out. They wear underwear on their face and they wear skimpy outfits. And they're like, yeah, we're trying to be pervy to like buck the system. And my guy is also a terrorist. But he goes the opposite way, and his name is White Peak, and he is like bandaged like a mummy, but in panties. He drinks out of a glass with like balled up underwear in it because he's like, I love panties. And then he has underwear all over him except on his crotch, where it's just a big censored emblem. Shimonetta, yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about Shimonetta. Yeah, and then so his crotch is like blurred out with like a little puppy cartoon figure that's like a mascot from the show. That's almost like hi, and that covers up his crotch. But then he fights with a taser that is on his crotch. So you'll just see like censored, and then you'll see like a taser pop up to attack. And that is my finest hour.
And I know you say you like getting your name out there to get more roles and stuff, and it's led you to get some very interesting characters.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it has. It has. Inman has been one of the best people who I think something that people might not understand about directors is that, and like producers are really good at like when you look at Marvel right now, and you have producers like Kevin Feige and all these that kind of sit over it. Producers are able to look at tools and say, oh, that's a good hammer. I want that hammer to work on that bed over there because that's a really good hammer. And they kind of put the pieces where they need to go and sit back. A director can look at that hammer and say, oh, you know what else this hammer can do, though? This hammer, if you move it this way, it can also be like a screwdriver. So actually, this is a multi-tool, and directors know how to utilize those different ones. So kind of when we're going through that, what's been fun for directors right now is to kind of cherry pick these different actors, and what I've been having a blast doing is finding people like I loved working with Karbowski on Dayday Live, and Brittany and I hadn't worked together in a long time. So on Combatants, there was this redheaded witch kind of sultry woman, and I was like, Brittany, how long has it been since you played like a really goofy sultry, like not a little boy character. You played a lot of little boys lately, Brittany. Like, what have you not done? And she's like, oh, I'd love to do something like that. So we found a really fun, different character for her. That's kind of breaking that cycle of, you've seen her as these different characters that are like little boys or things like that. So finding and utilizing these new tools and all of that, or finding actors who maybe have been character actors a long time, and then you pull them into a really good role, like a really juicy role. Like I think Ben Phillips, who works a lot with Inman as well. He was what's his name? Shiachi from Golden Kamuy. Shimpachi? There's something. Sriracha. I forget what his name is, but he Inman just knows how to use people because like we're his friends, so he sees us be goofy in public. But that's why like he let me be the talking fried shrimp in Urahara. Ebi Faraya was just a stupid thing that I saw in the anime he had, and I go, "What's that?" And he goes, "That's a talking fried shrimp." And I go, "Give me that role, Inman, please. I will do anything to be this talking fried shrimp." And he let me, and we just let me do a goofy voice for it. And like the dog Haru in not Michiko and Hachi's the name of the cat, and My Roommate's a Cat. I got to play the big golden retriever, a big dumb dog, and it was like, oh cool, like he lets me play these fun goofy characters, and I think that's also...
Haru was the cat and My Roommate is a Cat.
Or Haru, yeah, no, it was Haru. Hachi was the other one, and I forgot what the dog's name was then. But
I know that because our cat's name is Haru, based off of that. She is sleeping on the couch next to Ainzel Gon, our other kitten. One is a year old, one is not quite a year old. And I'm not sure if we move the camera, you can kind of see orange fluff and dark fluff.
And Legos.
Big blocks. That's our daughter's Legos. That's Evie's Legos.
How's Evie doing?
She is good. She's going to be 4 in
a little
over a month.
Oh my god!
Less than 6 weeks, she's going to be 4. Oh my god! Where has the time gone?
I mean, yeah, it feels like we were just talking about like, yeah, she's going to be a year.
Oh, I know. What was it? It was September 5th. We had Bryn April on the show, and we gave Evie her middle name from Bryn.
Oh.
And we had told Bryn about it before Evie was born that, we loved her name so much that, our daughter's name was going to be Evie Bryn. Mm-hmm. And she freaked out. So it's like having her on the show. It's like, and thinking back, it's like, she's going to be 4. Where has the time gone?
There's been so many anime since then.
Oh, there has. And God, so many good shows out there. It's tough to keep up with them all. And I know that you've had a lot of focus on One Piece, and hats off for you to have the concentration and the wherewithal of directing that for 2 years. I can't even bring myself to watch one episode knowing that I would have to go way back in time.
Man, they started me on like episode 600 and something, and that just to be told like, hey, we think you'd be good on One Piece, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what an honor, thank you. And they're like, cool, so we're on episode 600, and I was like, wait, I'm sorry, what? Do I have to watch all of that? Do I have to read? And they're like, no, but you do need to kind of know. And it's like, okay, so I had to like do a quick cherry pick of like, okay, Luffy, he was found in a barrel and he has like 2 brothers. Okay, so we have Sabo and Ace and all that. And then it's like, and he got his hat from Shanks. Okay, cool. Usopp, who the hell's Usopp? He was called God, like Sniper King and all this. So I had to do quick wiki things and then just kind of forget 600 episodes of plot and just focus on, cool, we're going to Dressrosa. And I was like, if and for those who don't know, it's the equivalent of just being like, oh, okay, here is setting 1, and they would forget everything you knew. That doesn't matter. You only have to focus on this. So that's all you can look at. So that kind of helped a little bit too, because I only had to worry about going forward. And then if they mentioned something like, oh, like when Luffy was on this island, I'd be like, what does that mean? And then they usually have a little clip that I can read and be like, oh, that was a time skip. He learned a new power. Okay, cool. And it's just little things like that. Like it's like going down rabbit holes on YouTube or something where it's like, what does that mean? What the hell is that? You click on the links and just keep getting deeper and deeper.
Darren, did Giga do a One Piece in 10 minutes or something like that?
I don't remember, but I got to comment on the wiki / I think it's been renamed Fandom for a lot of shows out there, is generally a gold mine of information, period, in the story, depending on who's running them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of them get very in-depth. Like, I'm not going to lie. I've spent close to an hour on the Slime Wiki, just learning about the characters and the world building. And also, I've spent hours and hours on the DxD Wiki, just because like I said, the world building, there's a whole bunch of characters in it. And the fact that a lot of the administrators or people that edit the pages are actually very well informed on a lot of the shows. It's actually quite amazing. And some of them have like really bad spoilers because they are that dedicated.
Those have been like lifesavers for me. Those are like cliff notes because we have to. I mean, that's the one thing that kind of stinks is if you are watching a show and get invested in it. As a director, your life is spoilers. That's all it is. You just have to be like, oh man. So like, I have to deep dive and of course dubbing. We're right now we're in the 700s. We're doing the Zoe arc, and they're in almost to 1,000 in Japan. So we have like 200 episodes to catch up on, and that seems like, oh, you can do it, but like, yeah, Colleen, who plays Luffy, I almost said Luffy, oh my god, Luffy, who plays Luffy, and she also plays Yayorozu in MHA, and she's directing My Hero. To have someone be like, yeah, why aren't you making One Piece quicker? It's like she can only scream so much, and all Luffy does is just like scream his attacks or like scream because he's excited or scream because he's angry. And it's a lot. Like I can't have an actor every day scream at the top of their lungs to give like the best performance, because then there goes your job, there goes your only tool you have. And like or like Sonny Strait, who plays Usopp. Usopp he's like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. He does nothing but scream even when he talks. And Sonny's voice, he can only do 1 or 2 hours at a time because he has other work. I mean, he's Destro in My Hero now, which is a big, huge guy who can Hulk out too. So you know you have to kind of look at those things, and that's a really hard thing to parse out. that is all on my plate when they say here's One Piece, and I'm like, oh, it's too much. No, there's too much stuff here.
Tell that to Asta's voice actors from Black Clover.
Oh, to Dallas. Oh man, he's another one, man. Dallas, purposefully, I do not cast him as any character that has to scream. If I'm doing One Piece or any other show, I put him in the show Mix, that baseball show. Dallas played a very low-voiced guy. He just kind of talked like this, and he didn't really yell a lot. And he goes, Anthony, thank you so much for giving me this role. Because I think that's when he first started. We might have just come off the heels of Roby Hachi.
Wasn't that one of his first like main roles in a major show?
Asta was, yeah. And that was almost like he'd worked a lot, almost like Justin Briner, who everyone knows as Deku now, but Briner was working for like years before that, and Deku was the one that kind of shot him, in the public eye. But like Dallas, for him, he had been there for a little while, but then when he got Asta, that was kind of a quick rocket, and now he's directing too. He's helping Chris George direct Black Clover. So it's always cool when the actors, like especially the leads, start helping direct too, because it kind of just feels like the characters helping to guide. Oh my gosh, Angel of Death. He told me about that. Yeah, he had to get shocked. Dallas told me about that one. In Angels of Death, he's in an electric chair, and they just turn it, and he's screaming as he's getting shocked. All Oh, I don't know if that was him. He's had to scream a lot too. I don't know if that was his character, but I know in that show someone had to do that. I think it might have been him. But those, yeah,
Mario's
there's,
pretty
and
good
One
with his
Piece is all
info. I
screaming.
think that is. And
Yeah. No, I wasn't sure if it was his character that got in the electric chair or if it's just his character just screamed all the time too.
now, have you done shows where not only did you direct, but you were also in them, so you kind of had to direct yourself?
Yeah, that actually happened the last few episodes of Cautious Hero. Inman was directing that show, and I had just I was transitioning from one show to another one, so I didn't have a full plate. Like I didn't have episodes to make, so they said, "Hey, why don't you and Natalie Rose, who's also a director and voice actor, her and I were splitting up." Kimono Michi, which was the wrestling one, and then with Animal Mask, and then Cautious Hero. So she was kind of doing more Cautious Hero because I was in that one. Yes, character is like, okay, yes, that was it. Thank you, Mario, you're the best. It was because I remember him saying like, "You're strapped to a chair." So yeah, figuring what was I saying? I sidetracked myself.
Sorry. You were talking about directing yourself.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So, yeah, those last few weeks, Natalie and I were kind of casting, so we were doing the casting for that flashback scene. No spoilers. I won't say any spoilers, but in Cautious Hero, they have a flashback scene with other characters, and Natalie and I were like, "Oh, that's Briner. Absolute. That's Briner all day. That's Tia." And I was like, "Cool." And so for those last ones with Jamie and when Risia and Seiya were in those final episodes, I directed her. I directed the last 2 episodes, and then I had to direct myself on the final episode, on episode 12, because we ran out of directors and we were switching. I think Inman had just switched to maybe Copcraft, or it might have been it. There goes that computer. It Invaded. It was either one of those, but it was like, oh, It Invaded. It might have been It Invaded because that was like, oh, that's a big deal. So he moved off that. So that last Cautious Hero was just me being like, I don't even know if I'm directing myself well. Like it was a lot of pressure because I'd never really done that. And I was like, Natalie, you got to like hop in here and help me or whatever. But she did a couple of them, but there were a few where I was just in the booth by myself. Like, okay, did that sound emotional enough? Okay, was that cool enough? So I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to sound right now. This is weird. So
I was going to say, if you have to direct yourself, I'm sure you're going to be tougher on yourself than you would be on most other people because you want to put yourself out there. You want to give your best.
Yeah, I absolutely. That's why it's hard. I don't know how, like, Caitlin is amazing at, she'll get in there, she sees it, and I love watching her process. You can see her thinking through it as she's watching, and she's doing, she's like, okay. And then she has it, like the directing goes on up here, which is really cool to watch. For me, I have to like talk out loud to myself and be like, okay, what's going on here? What am I doing? What? I need a wall to bounce this off of. And I'll talk to like the engineer and be like, hey, what was this? And they're like, I don't know. It sounded good to me. I'm like, no, I'm a perfectionist. Much the same like when we do auditions, and it's like I must get the perfect take. That's difficult for me. I don't know how people let that go. So I had to do like 4 or 5 takes, put the ones that I was like, no, that's the one on top, that's the one on top. And then I think I asked Natalie to booth review it, and I was like, you need to watch this and let me know if those takes are good. And she was like, yeah, they were great. And I was like, okay, because it's hard. I mean, like, you want to put the best out there. So that's why it was especially vulnerable to be the director and Seiya, to be like, am I directing myself properly? This wasn't really my show. It was my character on the journey, but I don't know the show. Like I didn't direct the full show,
It wasn't your vision on the direction of the show.
I mean, it turned out great. And I mean, Inman gave me all the like, yeah, it was, I mean, by the time we got to the end, it was a different show than what it started as. So that made it a little bit easier, where it was like, okay, I know what he is. And I fortunately didn't have a lot of dialogue because he's a man of few words. So that made it a little bit easier too.
You just had to know you were perfectly prepared to do it.
I'm perfectly prepared. 100%. That one I hope gets. I mean, I've heard rumors, but like it's anime, so I mean they're supposed to do another season, like another anime season of that one, because I know that the manga's still going on. But you know, as a Devil is a part-timer voice actor, I know not to put my all of my eggs in the sequel basket. It took us 7 years to get Devil, so who knows?
But that also means when you think something's dead, it may not truly be dead.
That's true. That is very
And,
true.
unless it's High School of the Dead, because
Then
I'm
it's
sorry.
very dead. Well, yeah, I'm still holding out. I want another Knights and Magic. I'd do that one all day long.
I want more Sergeant Frog if we're going old school.
Oh my gosh. I think they've announced that Hatalia's coming back.
I did hear there was going to be more Hatalia.
So I think they already put that announcement out because I know that I got to go in and do a new country, which was fun. So I play New Zealand, and he only had like 2 or 3 lines in like an OVA. So I was like, hey, who else is? What other countries haven't been done? And they had one that had 1 line. So I was like, heck yeah, I get to do an accent.
And hopefully it's not a Spanish accent from being down under.
That's true. You know what? It's an Australian Mexican is what it is. So there's that. What else is coming? I want to say something else. I mean, Dragon Maid came back, which was awesome. So Demon Lord, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord's back.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of these that we didn't know we're going to get sequels are coming back. I think I saw Restaurant to Another World is coming back too, and so
Yep.
the food looks so good in that show.
And the funny thing about that, I was gonna say the funny thing about Restaurant to Another World is I watched the whole first season. I remember enjoying it, but I can't tell you much about it other than that there's this door that opens up and these people come from all over creation to come to this one guy's restaurant to eat food. Who's to like a god chef that would put like Soma to shame.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take it. That's simple premise, and they make the food look really good. It's like when they made the food look really good in the Final Fantasy 15, when you would make food and they just put it out, and it was this beautifully rendered food, and it's like, I'll eat that. They always make anime food look so good.
Food Wars, another one where they make anime food look good.
Yep. I love how Crunchyroll would actually hire or was it React? Yeah. You've seen like Kids React or whatever, right? Before. Well, they've had several different things, and they actually did several times where they did food challenges of try not to eat. They had professional chefs recreate stuff from various shows, Food Wars, Pokemon, and some other stuff. And if anybody ate anything during the challenge, they would have to eat the punishment food at the end, or they wouldn't get to eat like the grand finale of foods at the very end.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It was actually a very interesting thing. And the fact that they partnered with Crunchyroll to have professional chefs recreate the dishes was actually quite interesting.
That's pretty cool.
It made me hungry. That's all I gotta say.
Not gonna lie, made me hungry.
I'm trying to remember because speaking of food, I think it's Realist Hero, which is being dubbed right now in Funimation. The isekai where the guy gets summoned into another world and gets dubbed king in terms of king.
He literally rebuilds the kingdom. My employee at work was literally talking about that series, and lo and behold, about 2 weeks later, it gets an anime adaptation confirmed because he's saying he loved the light novel for it.
Is Realist Hero the one where he's an accountant?
I think he was. I think he was an accountant. He ends up getting summoned into this world. They were going to give him to the main country of this world as an offering. And instead, he talks his way into becoming king, where he's got to take this little dying nation and try to turn around their economy. from like instead of being an OP, like I'm just gonna go and destroy everybody because I've got all these amazing skills. Instead, he's like, okay, I'm gonna use my brain power and let's change the country around with economy using modern day Japan knowledge of business.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
It's kind of like which one was it? The one about the show where it was like specially gifted kids were summoned to another world and basically started to improve the country in that world through. I wouldn't say they had supernatural powers, but um they were definitely unique people to say the least. I'm trying to remember what show that was.
Oh, there's been a bunch like that where it's
Yeah.
here comes the kids or something where it's like they got to colonize or build up. Or there, what was the one where it was an isekai where the guy died and he was reborn as like a child in a new world.
Jobless reincarnation.
There it is. God, there's so many jobless.
The original isekai, the one it really kind of started the light novel manga trend of isekai, and they created a brand new studio specifically to produce this anime.
Yeah, that's been, man, isekais are ruling the landscape right now.
They are, and Darren and I both have called ourselves isekai trash because even though we say I'm going to take a break, I'm not going to watch an isekai this season, I'm going to take a step back from that. I'm watching isekais every season. Something grabs me this past season. Drugstore in Another World just roped me in because of that cute wolf girl character. It's like she's adorable. I've got to find out why she's in this show, and I ended up enjoying the show. I'm like, God, I'm such isekai trash, but I've accepted that. I also have accepted. A lot of anime fans have their animal girl types.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people go crazy over the cat girls, or Darren and my wife both like the bunny girls. I have become a fan of the dragon girls.
Oh, nice.
Donkey.
He calls me Donkey, and it's all because of Monster Girl Doctor. And what was her name? Lady Scotty. It was like her, and then Killing Slimes for 300 years. You had the two cute dragon girls in there. And then come to find out, Malim and Slime, is like a dragon demon lord. She's a dragon lord. It's like, no wonder I like Malim. She's a dragon.
That's pretty cool. There's a lot of, okay. I never thought about that. Well, right now in the arc of One Piece that we're working on is all Animal Island. It's like Disney-fied, like anthropomorphic. So you have actually Tia is playing someone in this one coming up, but there's like a lot of characters coming out that are like, oh, here's like the dog character, like, and then there's like a whole musketeer squad that's like, we're all animals, and there's a bunny girl in it named Carrot and all this. So it's like, we're in the animal arc, the furry zone.
Now, when you're looking at anime coming from a director and a voice actor standpoint, do you find it tougher to watch it as a fan, or do you still just sit back and enjoy a good anime every now and then?
Yeah, there are a few. Like my wife and I like to watch. We grew up on Dragon Ball. It's one of the first dates we ever had, so Dragon Ball holds a special place in our household. But that was in our DNA. But it's weird to watch it now because either I'll hear myself in an episode, or it's just all of my friends, or I'll see a rogue flap and be like, "Oh, that needs to move right," and I'm like, "Oh no, just watch it." But that happens few and far between when it's like those action shows. Like we'll also watch My Hero together, and since that's so fast paced, it's kind of like, oh, okay. But if I'm sitting down watching like like with Devil's Part-Timer coming up, that's a slower kind of show. It's got conversation, it'll pick up. But I'll watch that and be like, oh, I can't watch this. I would want to redo it right now. Like I would do this different. I'd move that here. And so that's kind of more difficult. But if I'm watching a show and really into it, man, it just kind of doesn't register to me. But yeah, it can be hard because those work eyes, it's like, oh man, I can't not see flat placement now.
And I laugh, being a fan of anime, and one thing that's fun about this show is Darren watches more of the subs. I watch more of the dubs. And I watch it both. I watch sub and dub. There's always that big argument. And recently I don't know if it's a Funimation Facebook page or one of the anime pages, they posted the question, why do you watch, do you watch dubs and why?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, when you work a lot, sometimes it's easier to put a dub anime on so you can follow along if you're busy working on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I use it as it's entertainment to watch it dub, but also it's research for this show because then I'm able to find new voice actors. I'm able to find people like Kylie Stewart or Danny Chambers after Dayday, or Caitlin Barr after Not to Me. And even when I was introduced to you by watching the dubs, because I was like, I really liked, Otaku Teacher. Who is this guy? I've got to find out what else he's done and see if I can get him on the show. And you've regretted it ever since.
It's all downhill from there.
But it's been an amazing thing, and like. It still blows my mind that this show has been going for 7.5 years.
Oh my God. Wow.
And I make the joke, this show has gone longer than my first marriage. Because that barely lasted 6. So it's like, I've been going longer with this.
Yeah, and now you know what you're doing. See? So now it's like,
I wouldn't say that. It took me 7.5 years to be like, you know what? I think I should be on YouTube. We'd probably be making money off of YouTube if we started it on YouTube 7 years ago. But
get it there. But you know what? We're here now.
We're here now, and I love the fact that we've added the video to it because, like we said, this is the first time we've been able to meet face to face, even though it's not in person.
Yeah.
And I think it adds more fun to the show, more realistic. Anybody can say, I'm going to have this voice actor on, and especially if it's new voice actors.
Yeah.
It's tough for the credibility if it's like, okay, they can see Anthony Bowling is a part of the show. They see your name, they see you, and they can find pictures, be like, oh no, he's really on the show. They really are getting these people.
He was really there. They're not lying.
It wasn't somebody who's like a voice double or really, really good at acting.
Yeah, it's been really cool to have that. That's why I feel bad that I didn't have a better background. Now I'm like, next time I'll have to have the good one that, like, with all my stuff that you can see, like all my figures. I promise next time we do this, it'll be great.
Well, that's why I have the figure here, is that way people don't have, the different figures, because every week I put a different figure up here. And part of that is to distract from the chaos that's behind me. And then I move the camera and be like, look at the cats. Oh, here's a Lego tower my daughter made. Look at all the crap I've got, Yeah, one of the animes that I bought at Connecticon. We got to promote Ghost Stories.
Ghost Stories.
I had somebody ask me, they tried to put the argument out that sub is better than dub. Prove me wrong. I said Ghost Stories. End of story.
End of story. That is one of the weirdest. I think now that argument hopefully should start going away with the sense of like anime is getting so big that it's kind of one of those where it's like, hey, there's just going to be anime that's never going to get dubbed. There's so much of it that it's an inevitability. I mean, it's just like we can't do it all unless like everyone starts doing anime. But that's there's so much manpower and only so many people who know how to do that. And even like Netflix is kind of just doing it a little bit at a time. They're like, okay, we'll do 1 or 2 shows. So that's why it's just kind of hard to be like subs or dubs. And it's like, hey, man, I have to watch both. I've watched more subbed anime many people who like watching subbed anime. And it's just one of those where it's like, no, they're great performances. I still can't pick out voices a lot. I if you had a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you, two people that were in the same show. Some of them maybe, but it's just one of those where it's a lot easier. I agree with dubs, you can do that, but like subs, sometimes the performances, like the voice actor who played Sakamoto in Nichijou, I loved hearing him do Sakamoto, and I was like, man, I just wish I sounded as good as the J on that one. And so that sometimes it's like, yeah, you don't think we like subs too? It's like we love the performance, we love that aspect. So it's just weird that it has to be like subs versus dubs, and it's like, I get it, but there's never been like, we're gonna keep working whether people like it or not, because dubs are here to stay. It's gonna happen. So it's kind of nice to just sit back and see where this goes. And sometimes when people, like, it's the weirdest argument, like, oh, I like it because of this, I can do this, and someone will tell them they're wrong. Like,
you also have the anime versus manga argument too, because like, oh, well, that didn't follow the storyline and blah blah blah, and it's like, who cares? I think people just want to have that battle mindset, but in my mind, it's like, who cares? We all enjoy the shows, whether it's Japanese or in English or whatever dubbed language it's in, because I know it gets dubbed in languages all around the world. What gets lost in that fight is the actual work that goes into producing it, whether it's the Japanese studios who created the animation and the acting, whether it's the English dub studios who still have to hire actors, directors, engineers, all the people behind the scenes that never get the recognition that they deserve, because they work their butts off.
Yeah.
And I say weekly, hats off to everybody behind the scenes that works on these shows, because other than a quick blurb in the credits that half the people I know don't even watch them, they skip over.
Yeah.
And it's like, these people work their asses off. They deserve to have credit.
Yeah, it's a man, it travels so quickly. Like I know that even sometimes when we do the broadcast dubs, like they don't even have the English credits because we can't get them out quick enough. So it's just like, you just hear who you hear, and people will message the directors and be like, hey, so-and-so from whatever website, like, we're trying to credit this guard. Like, whose voice is that? And we're like, well, we can tell you, like, it's weird, but that there's no like record of that when it comes out. Like, normally people would have to, like, you would see it when the DVD was out or whatever. But now with this broadcast, like when it's on Funimation, you rarely see the English, even like the main actors. That's why they do those big releases way before, and you have to kind of look them up beforehand. So it is nice that, one, we get to do face-to-face, but two, as you were saying, like finding these new actors or older actors who you're hearing in a new way and being like, oh my God, I didn't know you voiced this and this. They're like two separate, ends of the spectrum or whatever.
And we had, couple of Connecticon stories that we found funny. Getting a chance to meet Caitlin Glass was amazing. She was like, if I had a top 5 list of voice actors I have never met or talked to, she was on that list along with Alexis Tipton. So getting to scratch 2 of those names off the list was a dream come true for me. And of course, we had her sign a Winry Rock Bell pop figure for our oldest daughter, Winry, who was named after the character. We also got an autograph from her for ourselves. And, she's like, oh, well, what character did you have in mind? And, of course, she's got all these sheets, all these pictures out there, the characters she's voiced. And we're like, oh, can we get Retchery from Show by Rock? And, like, she was dumbfounded. It seemed like, wait, this one. Like, she'd forgotten it was there, because it's a character she's done that I don't think a lot of people like. Anybody who's a fan of Anime-Zing Radio knows how much of a fan of the Show by Rock franchise I am. Like, I put Show by Rock, the entire franchise, in my top 5 best animes ever of the shows I've watched.
Show by Rock, that was... Oh, I forgot where my phone is. I was gonna go. I also have a computer right in front of my face. Like literally, the internet's here. I forgot what the name of that little guy. I played a little vampire guy in Show by Rock.
Show by
I forgot what
Rock,
his
you
name
have
was.
Dura Dura and Bai Green, according to the
Yeah,
Anime News Network.
Dura Dura. That's what it was.
And
Yeah.
like, I love the franchise. I love the music in it. The fact that everything got dubbed, including the songs, which is almost unheard of nowadays. I don't even think everything got dubbed in like Zombieland Saga.
No, and that's tough too, because that's like a whole separate. We basically have like 4 people that is like our music department, and it's like Caitlin can do it, Brina Palencia, who's amazing, Megan, Alexis will help with that. Who else? There's a couple more. Felicia will sometimes help with the singing, but it's Emmy Lowe is now starting to help with that too.
Morgan Berry also sings.
Yes, and as far as like directors and all of that, are like these people that are moving on that, they're the only ones who kind of write. Dawn Bennett as well, but they have to like also go through the sheet music, and then sometimes Japan won't send us the separated elements. So we had, I think, they were really happy because there was a Show by Rock song that they had. Oh no. There was a show that Inman did, I think, that had a song, and they had it done in time, but Japan didn't send over any of the materials, so they couldn't put it in the show. And they were so mad because they're like, we busted our ass to get a show done in a week, like a song done, and Japan like didn't give us what we needed to place it. So it's going to be on the DVD, but it was like, we missed the upload date because of stuff like that. So a lot of times, like that Show by Rock, they're off doing the songs on their own to be like, we got those are what's important. Like, let's get those going first so we can get those in the show. It's a lot easier to get that, to like put dialogue in.
And, you know, Caitlin's response was great because she like, and she started signing because she was Retori in that, and she's like, oh, on the backside is the chibi version of Retori. So when she's actually performing and they have the smaller versions, and it was like, oh, that was amazing. And then when you were talking about sometimes you don't realize a voice actor voiced a certain character.
Mm-hmm.
Sonny Strait was also a guest at Connecticon. I've seen a lot of the first season of Fire Force. My wife loves that series. We had no idea he was Joker. None. And so when he had the print there, of course we had to get the print. And I asked him, I was like, oh, because we walked up and Show by Rock Kick, oh, do you have any Maple? And he goes, oh my God, that's who I need to draw next. It's like, I don't have any Maple stuff. Probably not even thinking people know about Show by Rock.
Man, Ian Sinclair was shocked this past weekend at Dallas Fan Expo because apparently a lot of people who did the show Haikyuu, the volleyball one, that is like exploding on TikTok. And so Ian was like, I have sold more prints of my Haikyuu character than Whis and Space Dandy like combined. He's like, I haven't, like, he goes, this is insane, like what people will cling on to. I didn't have any Seiya prints when I went to my convention 2 weeks ago, and Jamie was like, I have some Risia prints. Let me tell you the guy who did mine. He'll just pull some stuff and make it like really nice, not like drawn, but get those out. And I'm glad I did, because people were like, oh my God, I love this show. Had no clue at all.
It's funny in the world of anime that as voice actors, a lot of times you're so focused on your next job, the next show that you're on. As a director, you're almost blinders on One Piece, and then whatever show you're able to act in, or when you take a break, you're able to get another show working on. but you're not viewing the whole stream of the anime world. What do people like? You find that out at conventions, and like you said, you had a year and a half of nothing going on, so you were disconnected kind of from the world of anime and the fans.
Uh-huh.
Which is one reason why I tried to do this show.
That was difficult for a lot of us, and then it helps. This is one of the few ways that, like, other than and social media is so hard because, like, a question, even if it's like a direct message or something, those get lost so easily. Like, I might see a question at work and be like, oh, I should answer that, and then I forget about it by the end of the day because I've been working. So I love stuff like this where it's like, yeah, if people have questions, ask it. I'm here, like, real time. Like, and conventions are great too because face to face, you can go to a panel and people can get immediate direct, like, hey, like, when is this, or what are you doing? It's like, oh, cool, I can tell you right now to your face. Like, ask me something you couldn't Google. Like, that's what I like having this interaction for.
Okay, ask you something you can't Google.
Oh no.
Who do you want to, if you could cosplay any of your characters, who would it be and why?
Would it be and why? I don't know. I'd want to pick like a good costume with like a good cape or something. Like Alciel's demon form would be cool. I'd want something that's like pure, just out, like kind of a cool fantasy, or even like Chronostasis from My Hero. He just has a big long hoodie overcoat and a like a plague mask, and it's like, oh, that'd be cool. Like, I could rock that. Like, just pull the hood down. Like, that'd be an easy outfit. I think I would go for comfort. Like, Seiya would be easy. It's like jeans, a t-shirt, and like shoulder pads and knee pads. Do that. So I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of now. Now I'm on the spot because I haven't. I would have to Google what my characters look like. Yeah, none really pop into my head that are like, oh hell yeah. Just or like Beats from Dragon Ball Super, where it's like, oh, I just like a Saiyan. It's just yeah, hell yeah, a Saiyan with a fanny pack.
I will say on my wish list of cosplays I want to do in the future that Junichiro is on there.
Hell yeah, it should be. I had a guy show up to a convention it was right before COVID happened. It was the last convention I did, I think in January. Someone had a full Junichiro costume going, and I was like, you get over here. How dare you? I've never seen that. That's always fun too. But to see cosplayers playing your characters, that's weird. I don't know. I wish I had a better answer, but I'd want something that like is breathable, comfortable, but like still kind of badass looking. Like, not like, I wouldn't pick a character like, if Josh Greeley was like, what character would you pick? And he's like, oh, Sadao Mao. I just wear a t-shirt and some jeans. Like, that's kind of a cop out. Like, you can't do that. I'd want something that looks anime. And
one of the cosplays that we are looking at doing, I think our goal for Anime Boston next May, a little show called Kuma 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 Bear.
Oh, hell yeah.
That I'm a big fan of. I want to crossplay as Yuna in the bear outfit. A, it looks comfortable as hell. B, if my wife can figure out how to do it, we want to make it interchangeable to where during the day it's the black bear outfit out. At night, turn it inside out to the white bear with the sleepy head on there.
Hell yeah.
And B, it doesn't matter what you look like under there because that suit's so big you couldn't tell outside of the long hair wig that I would need to get if it was a boy or girl.
Nice. And then you could just see that's the kind of thing. Like, if I would love to play a character that had like a big outer shell like that you could just hide in like a turtle and just go into it. Keep snacks in it. Or a mech.
He's going to walk around dressed like a fried shrimp.
Yeah, I'm just going to have one big pillow on my head, make it look like a fried shrimp. Yeah. I don't know. So that's what I'd do. I'd want to cosplay as probably someone else's character first.
Have you ever cosplayed, or?
Actually, when I did, was it Bakaretsu Con in Vermont? That was on Halloween. So I took my Goblin King outfit, my David Bowie Goblin King, which is one of my favorite movies, and David Bowie is one of my favorite people of all time, just musician, and his acting, he's just so unique. But I love Labyrinth. That was one of those movies that I loved watching as a kid. So I dressed as the Goblin King and went to the masquerade, and everyone was like, oh my God. And I was like, not there as Anthony, the guest. I was like, no, I'm doing this. So, and someone brought me like a little bird mask, like in the movie. And I was like, hell yeah. Like that was kind of cool just to be like, oh, I'm cosplaying right now. Like I don't want to be an actor right now. I want to be a cosplayer and just it's Halloween.
And thank you for saying you were at Bakuretsu-Con. I actually Saturday got into an argument with somebody. Well, not an argument, but trying to prove them wrong that you were at Baku.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the owner of Black Knight Anime Games and More in Essex, Vermont, who, well, the thing is, she's been affiliated with Baku for years.
I see. Yeah, I went when who were there? The Simmons sisters, Juliet and Genevieve Simmons were there. I think we were the three, and I want to say who else went? Was it just us three?
I am gonna drop your name again because now Baku is 40 minutes away because I live across the lake.
Hell yeah. I'll do that one again. Vermont is gorgeous. I absolutely want to get back out there. Like I love going to all of those East Coast cons where like you guys get seasons.
I can't tell you how much it broke our hearts, my wife's and my heart, knowing the one year that we missed Baku. I was there. The 1 year we missed Anime-Zing, and if things hadn't happened the way that they did, our daughter's first convention would have been 6 days old.
That's right, because it was like, no, dude, you're about to have a baby. Dude, like, you can't go to the con.
And she was gonna vend.
She was gonna, yeah.
She was in talks about it having a table, and if things hadn't happened the way that they happened during that week, we would have been there on the Sunday to get to meet you. And I think Jeremy was a guest there too.
Yeah, that's when he and I went. We've been talking about wanting to get back out to those. I'm actually going to be doing 2 cons next year in North Carolina. I'm doing one in Salem, North Carolina, and one somewhere. I'm doing. I need to look at the cons because I just got the contracts, but I'll be doing those, and hopefully, if things don't get too crazy, I'll be doing more cons. Especially now knowing how to like push myself out there and be like, hey, like now that I know what people watch, like I was in Cautious Hero, I'm directing One Piece. that kind of is a good foot in the door that I didn't know before, where it's like, oh, cool.
You drop like I'm a part of One Piece and My Hero Academia, like any of that stuff. It's like, oh yeah, we'll get you right in. Because those are big selling points. With me, it's like I host this anime podcast for 7 years that nobody's ever heard of, aside from a few people. And all of those of the fans out there who have watched us from the beginning, a big thank you. The hearts go out to you guys for supporting us for so long. It's been a crazy journey starting off on Hazy Radio and then switching to Blog Talk and now here on YouTube. A lot of changes that I've had to learn and stuff. And Anthony, you were saying that, now I know what I'm doing. I ain't got a friggin' clue still. I improv this shit every night. And I normally don't swear on the show. We had a podcast. We were actually guests on another podcast last night that was like free flowing and stuff.
You're still shrugging it off, stretching your legs.
It's weird to be a guest after you're a host for so long.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about like doing it this way, saying, where it's like you have these loyal fans that watch it and saying, anyone can turn on their television and watch anime now. That's a wonderful gift that we have been given. You can turn it on and you might not get to watch all of the best anime, but you can go on just television. You can watch Toonami. And then if you want an app service, every app service has an anime on it, which is really cool. But you're right. It's all what the big, it's My Hero, it's Attack on Titan, it's One Piece, it's Dragon Ball, Naruto. Like that's what people know. That's like Marvel when people, us fans who used to read the comic books And now everyone knows who Captain America is. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't used to. That's what I love about these. Let's talk to people. Let's talk to these up and comers. Let's learn about these other shows. What are you doing? Because how many great shows are people missing out on because it's not a My Hero and it wasn't pushed to be on Toonami? Like, there's just so many good stories, so many wonderful actors that sometimes, maybe an actor, it's their first lead, like Ultimate Otaku Teacher. That was my first lead. If that came out today, it probably would have gotten buried somewhere amongst all this anime. So, I mean, I'm very thankful for anime fans who get in there and are the ones who say, no, I'm looking at stories. I'm looking at authors I like, because I watch this show, I'm going to watch what else they create. So I think that does so much more good because, how much more do you need to hear Funimation say, watch My Hero? It's like, we all are. I think we're in it to win it. Yeah. Or I stopped. Yeah. It's like either I am or I'm not, but you don't need to tell people about it because it's everywhere. But gosh, it would be nice if we were promoting more of these smaller shows or like Sean Gann's directing that one we were just talking about with the isekai, the accountant.
Yep.
Guy. Sean Gann has been a wonderful actor. He and I went to college together with Caitlin, so the three of us have known each other for years. He's now getting to direct his own show, and that's freaking awesome. And I don't think stuff like that, why not push that forward instead of saying hey, let's watch the 6th season of My Hero? It's like, no, we're excited about it. If you're excited, you're going to watch it. But instead you could say, hey, also check out these other shows. If you like this, you should watch these cool shows because they might only get one season and then be gone.
Yeah.
And then you'll never hear from them again. So,
And this is Haru.
Oh, Haru, being a kitty.
Yeah. She wants her attention. Every week she has now made it a point that she wants to come up and say hello. Say, I am Haru.
Hi, Haru.
Named after named after my roommate is a cat.
Cute.
Which I was amazed to find out that Kimberly Grace was also the voice of Haru's brother in that.
Mm-hmm.
And also May from How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. Which was hysterical because Friday we got Jeremy's autograph and talked with him.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday morning we went back to the table, not for his autograph. We wanted to talk with her and get her autograph.
Hell yeah.
We're like, hi, Jeremy, we're not here for you. Where's your girlfriend? we wanted to see if we could get her autograph.
Yeah, we want to talk to the real famous one.
Because we're fans of Demon Lord Retry.
Oh, yeah. She also played, Kim was also, I forget what the goddess's name was, but she was the, one of the flame. She was like the flame goddess in Cautious Hero. She was one of the first that they went to, and she was like, oh, I can't. She was like, I can't do this because you guys suck. I forgot what her name was, but she was the red-haired. I don't know if she was a fire goddess or if she just had red fiery hair, and I'm misremembering. But Kim was in that too.
Hestia?
Yeah, I think she was Hestia.
Hestiaca or something like that. It's like Hestia, Hestiaca.
Sure. Hestica.
Hestica.
Hestica, I don't know. Yeah, but she played her in that. Gosh, who did she? Oh, that one's coming up. But man, we haven't gone to a con. I've been trying to get Jeremy and I on another con together. Man, we need to get up there somewhere. We'll go to Baku again.
If I have been trying for the last, I want to say 6 to 8 months to become part of the staff of Baku, because we know my wife and I love that con. My wife would love to help out with the Artist Alley side of things. Granted, I've never worked with a convention before, but through this show, we know so many amazing cosplayers and voice actors and artists. And, like we had Macy Ann Johnson on last week. She's never been to a convention.
We need to get her out there. I got to perform with her on the One Piece Stampede movie. Macy Ann's done a lot of really good work too. She's great.
I was surprised. She's like, she's never even been to a convention as a fan. It's like, we got to get you out here.
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah, we need to get her to one then.
I need to find sponsors, like mega paying sponsorship, or hit the lottery so I can afford to be like, okay, I want to go to a convention and bring in voice actor as a guest of Anime-Zing Radio. Not the show's responsibility, but AZR's responsibility. That's one of my dreams. Would be to have
That'd
you
be
come
cool.
out, or Macy, or Danny Chambers, or I mean, there's so many amazing voice actors out there who a lot of people don't know because, like you said, you may not hear them as a main role in One Piece or My Hero or Sword Art Online or whatever. But like you said, there are so many great shows out there, both subbed and dubbed, that get overlooked because, everywhere you look, My Hero Academia. Nobody knows Data Live, and I'll tell you right now. We talked a lot about a lot about Justin Briner and Deku tonight. I would not have bought this if it wasn't in a mystery bag. I've had people ask me, actually, let's do another on the spot question and see. My Hero Academia. Why do people hate Deku so much?
I don't know. People don't like, I guess, what they perceive as whiny heroes, like the simp heroes, where it's like, oh, I'm doing this, but I'm trying my best. That's why, like, everyone likes the bad boy, and it's the Bakugo Vegeta, complex, where it's you like the Wolverine, you like these anti-heroes, you want tough. But I don't see why, like, it's like Deku's trying his best. He's a good boy. Like, he literally wants, I think if any of us could live in that world, I think that's just all we would want, is to be a superhero. Like, be like, I want to be a good guy. Like, I want to do my best. And that's all he is. And maybe that's what's kind of like, no, we want to see like superheroes fight. Like, I want to see like some more of that. And maybe that's why. I don't know. I've never really heard a lot of people like openly hate him. They'll just be like, oh no, I like Bakugo, or I like this, not like, oh, to hell with Deku. It's like, oh no. So I don't know.
I mean, I one of our loyal listeners asked me that when we were still on Blog Talk, and he really got a kick out of the answer I gave, because I made a wrestling comparison.
Okay.
When you watch wrestling, like, I grew up of wrestling of the 80s. Hulk Hogan, Jimmy Snuka, Ultimate Warrior,
Brutus
Andre
the Barber
the Giant,
Beefcake, like Big Boss Man.
Rockers.
Oh, yeah, Bushwhackers.
And
that was my era too, man.
So when you're watching these guys, you see the good guys come out. You see Hulk Hogan come out. You don't want to see him come out and be like, oh, woe is me. No, you see him start getting knocked down, and he stands up, rips his shirt off, and beats the crap out of the guy.
Hulkamania.
You don't want to see somebody come out like Deku, who ends up getting his butt kicked 4 or 5 times before he actually starts doing something. He's had, Orachaka save his ass like 3 or 4 times, and it's like it's great to know he's weak, and it's helping to build the character story. But man, he's a whiny bitch. That's why a lot of people don't like him.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. It's that kind of like in book 6 of Harry Potter, where they just made Harry Potter a mopey teen that's like, I don't want to do anything, and it's like, I don't want to read this. I don't like this kid, and I think it's just, you lose sympathy, because I think as we've all been past that phase, and I think even kids in that phase don't identify with it because they don't want to see it. So even if they are whiny teenagers, they're like, no, I'm more like Midoriya. I'm not like him. Like, I'm not like Midoriya. I'm more like, whoever you want to be.
I'm more like Fat Gum.
More like, oh man, that's what I'd want to be. Eat all the time? Hell yeah.
Eat all the time, and then you use up the energy and you turn into this chiseled dude.
Yeah, turn into chiseled dude. I'd pick that every day. So I don't know. So there's that. Yeah.
That being said, though, I also want to say, calling Deku a whiny bitch is nothing against the voice actors who voice Deku. No. That means they're doing an amazing job. Like, there are characters out there I can't stand because of one thing or another based off of the character. What Colin Clinkenbeard voiced what's his name in Fruits Basket. I can't remember his name. He was basically the god of all the animals.
Oh,
and I hate that. Like
Mhm.
I haven't finished Fruits Basket, the new one, season 2. I haven't finished it. I left off halfway through like season 2, part 1, and she made that
Mhm.
character so detestable. But it wasn't like, it's not like, oh, he's horrible because of voice acting. So, no, she did a phenomenal job making that character hateable.
Yeah.
That's something I think people overlook.
Mhm.
Your basic anime fan just wants something to pass a time, to kill brain cells, and be like, that show is kind of cool. And they don't look past, they either like or hate a character. And if they hate that character, they hate the person who voiced it. Don't hate the
Yeah.
voice actor who voiced it. If you hate that character, they did their job to
Yeah.
make you hate that character.
Yeah, it was like a while back when Last of Us 2 came out, and Laura Bailey was getting all of those hate mail and death threats because they were like, how dare, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't finished Last of Us 2, her character does something horrible to a beloved character, and people did not separate that out. And it was like, because she acted it so well, because it's not only voice acting, but it's mocap. So you're getting a performance in a video game. And it almost like when people hated the actor who played Joffrey in Game of Thrones. It's like, I hate that character. You're supposed to. You're supposed to hate the character. And that means they're doing good acting if they're performing well, if they're doing that. So instead of you saying, I hate it because their voice is ugly and they sound horrible, like, that's a different voice acting type. But yeah, like for most of these, it's just, if
That's
you hate
why
them.
I've never tried out for a show.
Well, see, that's not everyone who says that. I'm like, hey, look at H. John Benjamin. I mean, he's got one voice and he's got like several different shows that he's the lead in with, and all he has to do is be like, I'm Archer, and now Linda. It's like, okay, I've got all my voices, and here I am. And he's a brilliant actor. It's what he does with it. So that's why it's like, man, all you need is one good voice.
I'm still searching for that.
Yeah, you'll find it. It's gonna pop out one day when you least expect it. Like you'll be talking to a pet, or just like offhandedly make a voice with Evie doing something and be like, well, there it is. Here's the mystery voice. I found it.
I make voices all the time. I know we've talked about this before. When I worked for Sullivan Tire in Massachusetts, anytime I was stuck in the corner in the alignment bay, I would talk to myself and answer in a different voice, whether it's an accent or something like that. And we had the master tech look at me and go, what is it about that bay that makes everybody who's an alignment tech go crazy? He goes, you're not the first person to talk to themselves and answer back in a different voice.
Wow, that's a weird phenomenon then. That's like there's a burial ground under that tire bay or something.
It's like, I don't know what you're talking about, I mean, I won't lie. Voice acting is something that has intrigued me for a while, but I have no training. I have no knowledge of voice acting whatsoever. I've never done acting or anything like that. But being an Aries, and I'll blame it on that, I want to know a little bit about everything. That is how I am. Being able to go to a convention as a vendor, as press, as artist, as a fan, as a cosplayer, I know a lot of different sides, which would help me to be a better host for this show. So when I come on here and I talk about this is what it's like from the other side of the table as an artist in Artist Alley, or as a cosplayer, I can speak from experience. Talking with you as a voice actor and director, I've never done it. So I have to come up with the fan type questions but I try to come up with new questions every time. You guys get asked a million times, how do you become a voice actor? Is it easy? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't want to ask that because you hear that a million times every convention. I'd rather ask you, why is Deku a bitch?
Yeah, those are the real questions that we all want to know. I like those. Yeah, and speaking of which, Doug, I think I have to go have dinner with my parents pretty soon. It's almost dinner time. But I was going to say, do you want to do you have any questions or anything? I mean, we've just been chit-chatting, but is there anything specific on the agenda where it's like, oh, I want to ask about this, or or if anyone has any questions.
Anybody in the chat, if you have a question, real quick, come on in, let us know. Because like Anthony, like you said, we've just been catching up. Tonight's show has just been a BS session with Anthony Bowling. I should rename it to that. Catching up with one of the greatest voice actors of all time. And I'm trying to think of, because like the last main show that you were a part of when we had talked was Seiya, and I'm trying to think of what shows have come out since then. Bofuri, I forgot you were in that. Bofuri.
Oh hell yeah, Bofuri, man! That was one of those coming right off of Cautious Hero. That, and once again, Natalie Rose, when she got that show right after, she goes, I loved working with you on The Cautious Hero. Do you want to be Kuromu? And I was like, okay, who's that? And she goes, he's basically the big brother of all of the other players. And I was like, yeah, that's like how I play, like D&D and all that. Like, yeah, Bofuri, man, Kuromu was he has his shield and he got this badass armor upgrade that covers his mouth, so now I don't have flaps, which is awesome. So I get to just go in and act. I don't have to match flaps as much anymore. That's getting a second season too. I'm excited to go back for that one because he's a good boy, and that's just a pure wholesome show. And I get to talk to Maple. I get to talk to the turtle, to Syrup, all the time, and it's so cool. It's so cute. Like me and Syrup go on adventures, and I'm like, okay, Syrup, what now?
It's funny you say that because last year we had booked Megan on the show before realizing that they were going to finally finish dubbing Bofuri. The last episode of Bofuri English dub came out the week before she came on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had her on the show not long ago, a couple months ago, and she told us that there is a Syrup plushie on pre-order. Wouldn't you know, November or sometime, it's going to be coming in my mailbox. I had to get it. I love turtles.
Man, I love turtles. Yeah, that made me laugh when it's like, oh yeah, by the way, like I think Chromo got lost, so he just had Syrup and was talking, and then the next time they meet, it's like, oh yeah, Syrup can transform into a freaking like ship. It's like, wait, what? Like, okay.
And that show was a lot of fun to watch as a fan because a lot of the anime fans out there also are not, are familiar with a lot of video games of that style.
Mm-hmm.
I watch it, I view it, I see it as like a Final Fantasy kind of storyline where you have a character, you've got to build them up, you've got stat points and things like that. I bet you not a single person before that anime ever thought of dumping every point they ever got into defense. And now I bet you see that on a regular basis. Even tanks don't put everything in defense.
No, man. I used to, when I used to play games like that, I always liked being the healer. I like sitting back and being the caster. But I tried tanking a couple times, man, and it's like, no, dude, you gotta have some good attacks and also that good self-healing stuff where it's like, no, every time I get hit, I heal for half or whatever. It's like, no, you can't put it all in defense. You can't trust other players to do the DPS.
Even like games like League of Legends, you always had, you had the top route, the middle route, the bottom route, you had the jungler, and then you had the helper who would bounce between top and bottom and, surprise attack. And... Oh, there's your alarm. And, but it was one of those things where it gave a whole new side of the video game world. And I think it was kind of fun to sit back and be like, it's probably a concept not many people have ever thought of. Kind of like Recovery of an MMO Junkie was another one where you got to see a similar game style. And a lot of good shows out there. People need to go and watch more shows. Not just like My Hero. Yeah, it's good. SAO, Attack on Titan. Those are great shows. But don't overlook the little ones that are only 10, 12 episodes long.
And I think what gives a lot of those 10, 12 episode series, what makes them like those diamonds in the rough is that those shonen, most of what's on, like My Hero, One Piece, Dragon Ball, those shonen or like the young teen shows are mainly flashbacks of like the first 5 minutes of a new episode is going to be the last 4 minutes of the previous episode. And then they're going to talk about what they just did. Then you're going to get maybe like 6 minutes of new episode. And then they're going to talk about what they're going to do. And so as a whole, it's a good story. But if you're watching 12 episodes, you know, you don't want the 5 minute fight to take 3 episodes. You want to see something happen. So I think that's why these 12 episode ones, you know, they can get a full arc in 12 episodes that at least make you think there could be more or you want to see more, rather than being like, I don't want there to be any more, just get to the point type of thing. So I think that's why those 12 episode ones, even the ones that kind of don't finish, like Devil's a Part-Timer, you can at least watch that and be like, wow, I wish there was more. Because that feels a lot better than someone saying like, cool, I loved you in Devil's a Part-Timer, I'm glad it's over. like I'm glad they're not making any more. Like no one asks about it. So
I remember when we first reached out to you, you're like, I can't wait to come back on to talk about Devil is a Part-Timer. It's coming back. I'm excited. Mm-hmm. Did you do a happy dance when you heard the news? I have to find out.
We heard it so much all the time, and Josh and I constantly send each other texts about like, here's another one, and then the actual trailer came out with new animation, where it wasn't like someone being like, here's a new trailer and it's like old footage just rearranged. No, it was like coming out, and on Twitter, we like Felicia and Josh and I were all like sending it to each other, like, look, it's back. And we Josh and I, every time we see each other, we just grab each other and shake. Like I was at Fan Expo Dallas this past weekend with him, and I was behind the table, and I would keep pointing at his Mao print that his wife, Joanna, did an amazing print of Mao, where in back it's like the conjuring circle with the demon magic symbol, and then Mao's up front, of course, in his traditional McRonald's, but with his hat and his horns, you know, and his cape on, and it looks great. But I would always point to that whenever someone would come up, and I'm like, it's coming back. It's happening.
And don't tell Sadao that, you know, my wife works at their competition, Burger King.
Hell no. Destroyer.
But we were extremely excited when we heard that, because you know, I love that show so much. We talked about doing the special. I was like, let's get things set up. Let's do the special. I mean, I would do another one when it comes out. Be like, all right, once you guys are set, you know, get the gang back together. We'll do another Devil is a Part-Timer special here.
Heck yeah, man. I wish you could have been at, gosh, it was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago when we did Animore. And it was Josh, myself, Tia, and Felicia. We had a mini reunion, and we watched the first 2 episodes and did a commentary of it. And we absolutely want to do that again. When 2 comes out, if the fan base wants us, I mean, we'll travel together, man. We'd love to do that. It's just so much fun. So I'd love to go to a con with all 4 of us, or even Aaron too. So get all 5, get the whole housemates, and even Alex Moore, now that her character's coming back bigger too in this next season. That's like the new gang going on. So that'll be kind of cool if we could all start traveling and doing some shows and panels and stuff.
Oh yeah. I would totally be up for, like, if you guys come to a convention in the area that we can make, I would love to be there. Even like another show here on AZR, I would dedicate a 2-hour block, even if it's during the week.
Well, we should,
guys.
Man, we should also do, I'd love to do, because it's all still good friends, a Dayday Live would be great to go to a con and get, like, once again, it's all my friends, where it's like, oh, here's Alexis and Josh and Megan and Brittany and
Tia.
We got to get Natsumi. We got to get Caitlin in there. Yeah, got to get Caitlin. She's the one I actually got to cast, so she's of course going to be my favorite because I got to choose her. We both joined at the same time, so it's like, no, this is our era. We're in this together, and then we'll see. And Emily Neves, I had thrown her. That was one of the first times I worked with her too, because I wanted to, threw her in there. So we'll see if anything happens with that.
If you run conventions out there and you're tuning in tonight, here are some great ideas that Anthony's throwing out.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
Have
man.
your people talk to his people. They will get stuff set up. These are amazing, amazing individuals. A lot of them.
I got a.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say no. I got a lot of idea where it's like, man, you could get just Inman and I just to do most of these. I put him. Oh my God, this is another reason why you have to watch Combatants. Doug, I cast Inman as this character named Tiger Man, and he's just a big. It's like a Thundercat, but he's a tiger with big 80s sunglasses, and he talks in cat puns. And I said, Inman, I'm giving you the greatest gift. And after he's done, he's like, oh man, I love this character. Because it's me letting him be stupid and goofy. And it's like, he loves cats. So why wouldn't I make him a cat man?
And I already know what happens when we get you and Inman together. And it's still one of our most talked about shows ever, was that Christmas special.
Dude, that I will wear as a badge of honor, because that was so goofy and fun that it's like one of those events where like people were like, man, if you missed it, you missed it.
and like, because I remember like I called you. I'm like, oh, I got to call Jeremy. And you're like, oh, don't bother. He's here with me. You guys did not tell me you were going to be at a party.
A Funimation Christmas party.
Because you know me well enough to know I would have rescheduled.
That's why we were like, no, let's just go around and put the phone in people's faces. Tia, say hi. Alexis, say hi.
And it's like, okay. So we got to talk with Tia Ballard, and Terry's like, oh, you're talking to my friend Doug? And I don't know what the reaction was on your side, but I heard her say that. And it's like, who is that? I know the voice. And I was like, oh, that was Terry. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, we've had her on the show a few times, met her multiple times at conventions up this way. And Stephen Fu, we hadn't talked to yet, but you had him on the phone with us.
That's right. Fu, and I think maybe Ben Phillips.
Ben Phillips was another one. It was
his house. So I hope we did. That would have been nice.
Alejandro, we were talking to about getting on the show. He's like, oh, I'm going to be coming on their show. He still hasn't.
Oh, yeah, Alejandro would be great, man. I love working with that dude. And he's blowing up. He moved to LA, like him and Damon and Dawn, Howard Wang, Amberly Connors. Like, there was a big mass exodus. Michael Tatum and Brandon McInnes, like they all moved to LA and because we can all still work together. And they're like, why not? And it's been awesome like that. So it's opening up a lot of really cool avenues.
Oh, yeah. And we are just about out of time, so of course, as always, our shameless plugging section, we want to give you a chance to promote yourself, anything you are working on, anything you can talk about that's coming up, where people can find you. The floor is yours.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, right now, as I said, I've been working on One Piece. Really excited for that because I've gotten to do a lot of the casting for this arc. They are getting released as quickly as we can do them. I promise you. We're going to have probably another big batch with this new one coming out, hopefully by the end of the year, which would be another 24 episodes, I think. And then next year we'll drop another 24. So we're trying to get those out. But I mean, keep watching One Piece. If you can check out Combatants Must Be Dispatched, that's on the back catalog. All 12 are out with that. If you want to laugh and see Jeremy Inman play a Tiger Man. And it has a newer voice actor who you'd know if you're online and are doing streaming. And he has his own series, Brendan Blaber, who does Epithet Erased, his own webtoon and all that. He was the lead in that. First lead he's done, but he's a wonderful voice actor. He is perfect in that role. And it is one of my favorite things that I've done. And if you want to reach out and talk to me, Anthony Bowling VA. .com or Anthony Bowling VA on Instagram, and I am on Twitter at Bowling4Day, like the number 4, at Bowling4Day. And that's it, man. That's what I've been working on, and I've got some voice acting stuff coming up. Check Slime. Slime's going to be a pretty good one. If you're a fan of Slime, I'll be coming up in that one. And there's some video game stuff that's coming up too that I got to do. I got to do the new Tiny Tina. Borderlands game, so I got to be a character in that one when that comes out. So that'll be cool to check out as well.
Awesome. Thank you again so much for coming on, hanging out with us tonight. It's been too long. And when I said it at the start of the show, I mean it. You are probably one of my top 5 favorite guests of everybody we have on the show. And
thank you, Doug.
That
means a lot, man. It's been nice. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to hang out, go meet at a con, go grab a drink, go hang, anything. And I'm always thankful to the fans, everyone who watches. You guys are incredible. So yeah, of course. No, thank you for having me. I'm glad you all had a good time listening. And yeah, if you think of any questions or want to find out more stuff, I'm always posting on my Twitter, and I'll be posting all those. So I'll let you know.
Awesome. And I forgot to say at the start of the show, but Anime-Zing Radio tonight has been brought to you by HomecircleMedia.com for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Check out HomecircleMedia.com today, or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. And we're also brought to you by Casey Fox. That's KAYCIFOXX for all of your artwork commissions, cosplay, and photography needs. Be sure to check out Casey Fox on Facebook and Instagram. Until next week, when we have the UK's greatest anime fan, I'm probably butchering that, but we're branching out of the US. We have Sophia Copen, a UK anime fan, is going to be joining us. We're going to find out what it's like for fans in other countries. I've been doing that a little bit this year. Something new that we're trying to branch out. It's a lot of fun to find out what it's like in other countries. I've never left the US, and I live 45 minutes from the Canadian border now. So it's going to be neat to see what anime is like through the eyes of somebody outside of the US.
That sounds awesome, honestly, to talk to them. I've never even thought of that. But also what you need to do is you need to spread the word of Anthony Bowling to them and say, like, hey, get him over in England. You got to get him so that way I can get a trip to a con in England. Doug, Sophia, you got to do this for me.
Well, she is one of the people in the chat tonight. She was one of the people listening in. Pop Girl is
get me to England. Get me to wherever. I'll do any convention you want across the seas.
October 10th, we're going to have Godswill is going to be joining us again.
Heck yeah.
And we may also be joined by Mario Bueno. October 17th, we're still trying to find guests for our Dragon Maid special. So far, we have Christy Rothrock confirmed. Anthony, if you want to come back on the 17th to join us, I know you were in there a little bit.
I love Christy. She's also in Combatants.
So we're still looking for more people to join us for the Dragon Maid special. October 24th, we will be at another anime convention. And then November 14th, we have Giovanni Cruz is going to be joining us. So a lot of great guests coming up. Until next week, when Sophia Copen joins us, I hope you all have a wonderful week out there. Keep watching those animes. Keep having fun. And until then, have a wonderful week.
Bye.